Some interesting thoughts here, and let me think if I can contribute somehow. So first of all, I'm from the European Commission, DG Connect, and I want to talk a bit of what we do there so to understand where I'm coming from. I'm also a political philosopher in my previous life, so I have some engagement with these political moral issues. So now we do, in my unit, we do a lot of work on data, health data, making sure that there is enough health data and there is a sort of like European, pan-European infrastructure to transfer this data, to have health data. So you can imagine we have a lot of concerns and also barriers in terms of making sure that this is compliant with GDPR and security. So data and also artificial intelligence. As you are aware, I'll talk more about this because this is the file where I'm involved more. So I hope some of these remarks will be useful also for your project. So AI ethics. Now we heard you mention indeed there are all kind of codes, principles, charters. Every other company now and every other institution. Very well, it's interesting. The debate is there, out there. They usually tend to come up with the same principles in the end, which is very good. So there is an abundance of ethical principles about AI. Now we still don't have a clear definition of what AI is. But my main concern with this is what is new about this AI ethics? Is there something tremendously new compared to medical ethics, to ethics and technology? And probably there is something, at least in terms of degree, if not of nature, in terms of like how much risk is now to data privacy. It's more easy to have data breaches, for example. And this is the first question we are confronting with trying to steering this policy and taking the views of stakeholders. The second question is, yes, okay, we have something new, novel challenges. How much of this AI talk, AI ethics, applies to healthcare? So this is where our work is. Is there? I mean, we have face recognition technologies, all kind of autonomous cars, ethical issues there a lot. But some of these issues are important, but still in the healthcare sector, maybe they don't apply as much, whereas there are other ethical issues, such as patient-doctor relationship, or how this changes the whole vision of what health is for the patient using these tools. So I, in a way, invite you also to extract from all these discussions what is really specific about healthcare and trying to use big data and AI. And the third preliminary question is indeed, okay, we have these principles to identify, what do we do about this? So how do we implement these human agency, accountability, privacy, all these principles? How do we implement it in such a way to address the concerns of the patients, of the clinicians, and the researchers in the medical field? And obviously, I think from the morning we kind of agree that we have to involve them at all stages, right? So now just maybe key 3 points that were not mentioned before, but maybe I want to go a bit more in detail. It's privacy and data protection, the second accountability, and the last one autonomy and human moral agency. So about privacy, very nice introduction to GDPR and data protection. We know because of the AI and big data, it makes more easier now to collate data, to put data from different sources, and that makes more difficult to trace consent, for example. If you integrate different databases, then you have to deal with this. There are all kinds of solutions. Some are technological solutions, some are organizational. How do you make sure that this is you're complying with the law? My point is that, my main point, because we all know where the challenges, is that it's not just a technological or a legal problem. So let me explain. We have now all kind of solutions like multi-party computations, all kind of models in which it allows you to easily somehow navigate the consent, give consent, to withdraw consent. Then we also have solutions. We have GDPR. Very soon, maybe more people will understand what it's about. But my point is there is issues of there's the issue of privacy, which is beyond the law and beyond the technology. To give the example, there are some smart people in Oxford, some researchers arguing about the right to reasonable inferences. So it's not just about your data, but there's a question, should you look into that data? Should you use that data for that purpose? So even if the people consent to that. So, you know, there is some example of people submitting their CVs, all their social media content when they are hired, which is okay, they consent to that, but should such a tool exist in which people basically open up all their lives and photos and that, just for that particular purpose, which is disproportionate in a way. But they consent to that, so should there be something in which, you know, somebody else should oversee this to make this unacceptable. So this is one example in which privacy is beyond the law. So maybe this should be kept into your attention on it. Accountability. Here is something that amazingly was not mentioned too much, black boxes. So these algorithms are, it's fine, they work. Many of them use machine learning or neural networks, and they are impressive. I mean, you hear, of course, they are not validated fully, but you hear how they are better than doctors sometimes to predict disease or to diagnose. Not clear how much, but there is a lot of vibe about it. Now, the question is that bad? And you have the critique saying that, yes, you should not explain, and how do you actually justify this to citizens, patients? Apparently, in medicine, there is a lot of black box. You may be, correct me if I'm wrong, but many times you apply some medicine, you don't know exactly how it works, but it works, so it's fine. So it's not just a problem. This might be okay, as long as you have a procedural sort of a set of procedure and rules that validates that it's okay. We don't understand fully, but there are measures in which you can control it. So black boxes. Another problem with this is if the clinician does not understand how this works, how would the clinician be able to explain to the patient what's going to happen if you use this system, if you use this algorithm? So there's a huge challenge here, and it challenges the professional, the training of the clinician, if it were possible to somehow explain some algorithm to transmit that knowledge in a understandable way to patient to understand what does it mean 97% accuracy that you die or you survive. And this comes to my last point is about autonomy and moral agency. There is a sense, it's not new, technology always been there, it's challenging for the people how to use that data, which seems in a way deterministic. If I tell you a 98% chances of that, basically you don't have too much leeway to think, to take a real choice on that. So in a way, this deterministic approach of a machine telling you this or that, you still have a choice, of course, I'm going against it. But with there's such tremendous pressure on you, and also on to actually take that decision that in a way it cancels your right or your capacity to take decisions about your health. So this is something to think. And to end, I was a bit critical about the codes and principles, but indeed the European Commission has, in a way, the expert group has appointed an expert group on AI ethics, which has adopted these guidelines on trustworthy AI. The point, I think, something very useful there is that they don't only, these guidelines, which have been endorsed by the Commission, but we didn't do them, because the experts who did it, they combine this ethical view with also legal aspects and technical aspects. So it's not just it should be ethical, but you should be robust, technically robust. So they go beyond just making the principles, which is like 7 requirements there, or all the principles that we know, we hear them, but they also have a list with questions, concrete questions. What do you do? Have you secured your network? Are you sure that this is that? So there's a huge list of practically how can you test whether your application or your system works, or are you in line with those principles. So I invite you also to have a look at the AI Alliance, if you're not a member also. There, now there's a piloting phase in which companies, people, projects can contribute. try, test these questions and see whether they're useful or not, and give feedback to the Commission in the future. We hope to have such more specific comments on healthcare, because again, this is AI fully general approach, but we now, in my work, in Connect, we are very interested in having this focus on healthcare, and know your views on that. Thank you.